looking at some of these news headlines, one story that I've been talking about a lot, and not just me, it's been all over. If you look at alternative news sources, you see it being talked about all the time, and that is a CBDC, or a central bank digital currency. Now, I've been out here pounding the table on them because they're bad. They're very, very bad. But it's not certain, it's not a foregone conclusion that we're going to have CBDCs. So let me explain. A central bank digital currency is very bad because of what it can do. Now, just real quickly, about 80% of all dollar transactions are already done digitally. We already have a digital dollar, in my opinion, meaning we use our debit cards, our credit cards, our Venmo, our PayPal, our wire transfers, all of those things. It's already digital. We don't really carry cash around or use cash anymore. At least I don't. Some people still depend on a lot of cash. And so we're already doing all our transactions digitally. A CBDC is no different than the dollar that we have now, meaning it's still a fiat currency, meaning the government can still just create as much as they want, and it's still moved digitally, just like we move our dollars digitally today. The reason why it's so bad is because right now, today, the government can't really, they can track it. They can get all the data from this. They can subpoena information from the credit card companies and Venmo and things like that. But a CBDC, a central bank digital currency, can be programmed, meaning they can program the set of rules into the money before you even get it. So, for example, they give you stimulus. They want you to spend the money to stimulate the economy. So if you don't spend this money by Friday, you lose the money. Like China with a social credit score system, if you say mean things about the government, we take some of your money. If you're not saving enough, we give you positive interest rate. If you're saving too much, if you're hoarding, we have a negative interest rate. You can't, you've exceeded your meat allotment or your carbon allotment, and so you can't buy more meat. You can't buy more gasoline. You only get 2 plane trips per year, so you can't buy more plane trips. And so it's programmable in that way. Now, China, of course, being a communist country, has already rolled theirs out. And other countries are trying to do the same. However, in the United States, where it seems like it's a foregone conclusion, and people in the United States are already playing the victim card. Like, oh, what can we do? There's nothing we can do. It's not true. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of pushback. Lots of lawmakers in the United States are pushing back against this. Been lots of legislation that has been proposed, and one of them came this week from good old Congressman Tom Emmer. He's a Republican from Minnesota, and this guy is on it. He has put a bunch of bills forward to really stop this down, and basically the bill would effectively put an end to the debate over the creation of a Federal Reserve-issued CBDC. Now, the Federal Reserve can control monetary policy, can control banking policy. But really, it's the Treasury, the government, that has the ability to make money. So the Fed doesn't have the power to issue money, and Congressman Tom Emmer has introduced a bill that would prohibit the Federal Reserve from actually issuing a CBDC directly to anyone. The bill is titled the CBDC Anti-Surveillance State Act, and details that, except as specifically authorized under this act, a Federal Reserve Bank may not offer products or services directly to an individual, or maintain an account on behalf of that individual, or issue a central bank digital currency to an individual. And it goes on further to say that the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System and the FOMC Committee may not use any central bank digital currency to implement monetary policy, which is pretty good. Now, he tweeted out saying that any digital version of the dollar must uphold our American values of privacy, individual sovereignty, and free market competitiveness. Anything less opens the door to the development of a dangerous surveillance tool. So he gets it. So we still have lots of good people in the government fighting the fight, trying to uphold, as he said, American values of privacy, individual sovereignty, and free market competitiveness. Now, there's been lots of other representatives that are getting on board with this, of course, mostly Republicans. Barry Loudermilk, who's a Republican from Georgia, released a statement saying that he was, quote, proud to join forces with Rep. Emmer. We also have Rep. Andy Biggs, a Republican from Arizona, on board, explaining that, quote, unelected bureaucrats are driving us to an authoritarian state. That can't happen. And so it is not a foregone conclusion. CBDCs are not here, and there's still a lot that we can do to push back on them. One of them is, I know you don't want to hear this. It may seem like a waste of your time, but you can call or write your local lawmakers and tell them what you think about this, because they do care about getting reelected. They should care what you have to say, and there's lots of people doing a good job. Tell them they're doing a good job. Tell them that they need to get on board with this if that may be the case. Now, also, other lawmakers pushing this forward is in Wyoming. The Wyoming legislature passed a bill protecting Bitcoin private keys from courts. So with cryptocurrency, there's two keys. There's a public key, which is like your public address, like your bank account. I can give you my bank account right now. You can go deposit money in my bank account. That's my public address. It's like a locker. I give you my locker address. You can go slip an envelope in there. But then there's a private key that allows me to open that locker and move the contents. And so Wyoming legislature passed a bill protecting the private key from courts. It says that the state of Wyoming has passed a bill that protects its citizens from having to disclose their private keys. It just needs to be signed by the governor now. So it's already been approved by the state Senate and the House of Representatives. It's waiting to be signed by the governor. So if you're in Wyoming, you should reach out to the governor's office and leave him a bill. But the bill states that no person shall be compelled to produce a private key or make a private key known to any other person in any civil, criminal, administrative, legislative, or other proceeding in the state that relates to a digital asset. Pretty amazing. So while most of the governments of the world are continuing to try to get you to give up all of your privacy, all of your ability to have any private property, control that. In Europe, the ECB and the EU Commission, they're trying to pass legislation to make it where you can't have a private key, where you can't hold your private property in a way that keeps it safe. But here in Wyoming, they're trying to pass a bill that says no government, no state, no court could ever force you to give up your private key. So you can see the difference that we have here. And while I know a lot of you feel that this is it's a losing battle, that like I said, we're all victims here. We're not. It's not over yet. There's still a lot of people fighting the good fight. A couple other things I saw this week were we saw that Sam Bankman-Fried from FTX, he got charged with making 300 illegal political contributions to the tune of tens of millions of dollars. Turns out he got charged with conspiracy. So all you conspiracy theorists, there's actually such a thing as conspiracy. And as a matter of fact, there's a law against it. And now Sam Bankman-Fried from FTX has been charged with even more counts of conspiracy for giving money illegally, 12 counts of conspiracy to making 300 political contributions. It'll be interesting to see if they pull those contributions back from the bankruptcy court.